Come on, guys.
Let's do this.
I love the look of this door.
Wow, I really do.
Dude, I can't even wait. I can't even wait.
What's about to happen right now? Damn, it's so different. Oh my goodness.
Holy shit, this place is blowing up.
Hey, it's Subcool Weed Nerd.
And Ms. Jill.
Get your bowls,
and your bongs.
pipes, your
And
vaporizers.
your big fat blunts.
It's time to get high with the weed nerd. Well, I'm a weed nerd. Just call me smoke a lot. Don't give me that, me no wanna crack. Now we no study that. Weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. So won't you come my way? So won't you come my way? Weed nerd. Just call me smoke a lot. Don't give me that, me no wanna crack. Now we no study that. Weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. Smoke a lot of herb, smoke a lot of herb.
Come on, weed nerds, let's all get down to that old school sound with that K-Lou pound. Put seeds in the ground, tilling up the dirt. Shovel in my hand and I'm putting in work. Weed nerd, connoisseur, growing the killer. In the backyard with the mountain gorilla. Game stiller, still another, what you think? Miss Jill's got tips on growing the dank. Cheesequake, Aldo, Indo funky. Time wreck, hash laced in my blunt seed. Skunky, smelly, space bomb sticky. Stepped in the dough, got the whole team with me. Iggy Pops, my city's hot. Ukiah, California, got the green on lock. Chillin' in my weed crop, blowing some herb. Dope boy, OD, yeah, I'm a weed nerd.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Weed Nerd Live Show. Should be really exciting. I've got a bowl queued up. You got a bowl queued up,
I
baby?
do.
So we're going to impromptu start the show real quick. We're going to dab down here. So get your bowls, your bongs, your big fat joints, your hookahs, your dab rigs, your one-hole bowls, Zeppelins. It's time to get out of the Weed Nerds.
Let's go.
So, what's everybody in chat
Awesome.
dabbing on tonight? What are you guys smoking on out there? I've got some cosmic glue rosin over here that we squished at the Cannabis Cup in Michigan. Anybody interested can check out Mr. Tight's channel. Day 2 of the Michigan Cannabis Cup. You can watch us squishing out the cosmic glue.
Awesome. So you still have some that you pressed out there in Michigan?
Yeah, very little bit. Probably smoking down to my last half gram here. I'm gonna smoke it with you guys tonight. So,
well, I'll tell you, I heard a lot since you got back. I've had a lot of people message me and talk about how nice you guys were to everybody. You showed the weed nerd love. That is a fact. So tonight we have a pretty interesting panel. We also have an impromptu game I'll tell you about in just a second. So I'm going to go down real quick and introduce everybody and just kind of get the show started. I am not really good with these introductions, so tonight I'm going to try to do a little bit better job and stay focused. So tonight on the panel, we have Ben from Phylos Bioscience. Phylos Bioscience is kind of leading edge in genetic testing, and they also offer the ability for you to test your cannabis plants for male and female sex, and so they can save a lot of money and a lot of time. We're going to get into what they do, how they do it, and how they can benefit the Weed Nerd Nation in just a little bit. And tonight, we have Lesta Bentley, a very good friend of Jill's. You guys go back a while, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And she is involved in Oregon. She has run several dispensaries. She's done stuff with extracts as well as farms. So she's going to kind of tell us about some stuff going on in Oregon.
Finish.
Yeah, start to finish. Oregon's a different little umbrella. It's different than California. It's different than Colorado. So we like to bring as much information as we can here on the show.
And she's also the aunt of Brian, namesake of Brian Barry Koff.
There you go. So I want to tell you about something different tonight. And matter of fact, I want Minnesota Nice to tell you about it. That way we won't be double. You tell them about the new system of entering the Glean contest, and then we'll talk about the prizes.
Yeah, so what we're doing with Growing Together this week is we've decided to do a fundraiser, and we're going to try this out tonight and see how it goes to raise donations. We have a couple of people that are in need. I'll get the links up there in a moment of who we're going to be helping. But what I want to do is talk with you guys about the fundraiser and how it works and what's involved and what you get. On the Growing Together website, we've added a new page. It's called Fundraisers. You can click onto that page and read all about the fundraiser and how it works. What we've done is sponsors who've donated product to Growing Together, we've decided to be able to sell raffle tickets to enter yourself into a drawing to win the items. It on the fundraiser page of Growing Together, you'll see a donate button for PayPal. If you enter a minimum of $20 donation, I will email you the link for the Gleam giveaway. And this week, what we have is IntegraPacks has donated many of their different humidity packs. We have Pyro Styles Glass here in Minnesota. Blew this dab rig. It's a 10 millimeter dab rig. It was a collaboration. It's been electroformed. It has purple amethyst blown into it. It is glow in the dark as well. This will be part of the raffle, as well as a D-nail. We have a $590 D-nail up on the page that we're going to be raffling off tonight. And again, it's a $20 donation. You do that, I will email you the raffle ticket.
Awesome. That's so nice. And that's, we want to thank everyone for making those donations. As he mentioned, you guys have done an amazing job raising almost $10,000 for people in need. But, we've reached a point now to where that has changed. So we're trying to raise some money. We will get those links up tonight. So I want to introduce our other panelist tonight, and that is Green Goalie. So he's a very good friend of mine and the Weed Nerd Nation. And Green Goalie is an ex-combat veteran. I did not share the picture that you sent me, but he sent me a picture in a frame of, good Lord, son, you didn't even have any stubble on your damn face. You're so young when you went in. Adorable.
Good evening, nerds.
This
No,
man
I didn't.
So we'll be raising money for Green Goalie tonight. I'm gonna let him tell you about what's going on in his life in just a minute. Also tonight, we are raising money for baby Rain. She's 1.5 years old. She has hemoplastic left heart syndrome, so it's a congenital heart defect, and also epidermolysis bullosis, a rare skin disorder. So she's had 3 open heart surgeries. I butcher these medical names and stuff, but the bottom line is, poor little kid could definitely use our help and support, and that's why we do this. I don't think we have a relationship to this family itself. I think we just picked it out, right, Minnesota Nice?
Absolutely did.
So that's what we do.
That's the greatest thing about charity is, people are reaching out for other people and they don't have anybody to reach out to. So they reach out to our show. We have proven results that we've helped people. We've put up over $10,000 already. So it's a fantastic cause.
And I always have to say this, I can hear Minnesota's voice. I couldn't have found the better person to spearhead the charity that has become Growing Together, because this side lives and breathes helping people. So, all right. So also we have an autographed copy of Dank 2.0. I want to remind you guys that we still have the contest from the other bag, the Kona bag and the vintage book. So make sure you get on the Gleam contest. So, all right. So before we get started with our panel tonight, I want to kick it over to my friend Green Goalie, who's been nice enough to come on the channel tonight. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, basically, he could use our help. His fucking phone bill's like ridiculous, $189. This happens a lot because he doesn't have an income. We would like to raise enough money to get the fucking phone turned on for a couple of years. Well, I don't have to worry about contacting this man because he's a lifeline to us and to him. But I want to why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, Green Goalie? Tell us all the stuff. Tell them about the flood. Give it to us, buddy.
Hey, guys. Yeah, sadly, it's, I was telling the people earlier, it's been a little bit of a struggle. And since the legal issue started in 2014, we've lost 3 houses in floods since then. And so every time we've tried to rebuild and get started, we just get slapped again. And that's sort of what's happened is, like people who already have been in these places, you get arrested and it's ruined your life and you spend the next 2 years in courts and you're bankrupt and your health is shot. And so that's sort of where I'm at. And we're still trying to fight that way out of it. And this is just one of the many daily things that's, that keeps on the cycle going. My injuries and illness stem for my nearly 1,600 days I spent in Iraq from 2003 to the end of 2007. And that's where my injuries and illnesses stem from. And, my family, like I was speaking to some folks earlier today, that's where my family, myself deal with. on a daily basis, the ramifications of traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress, and also the other virus and illnesses that I suffer with and deal with daily. So the weed nerd community has reached out hugely to my family since all these issues started. Interestingly, I found Sub and Sub Show and interesting within 30 days of my diagnosis, and sort of tied my life from the time I really knew what was wrong with me and why I was being so sick all the time to today. And the truth is, our family wouldn't even probably be here if it wasn't for the nerds and the nerd community and a few small veterans groups who have really stepped up to help us in times like this. It's not the first time that you guys have done this for me in other forms and fashions, and the nerds have continued to do it. The reality is, the only medications I ever have is from donations. It's not a reality for me any other way. And so I can honestly say, since I haven't been able to grow my own medicine since 2014, nerds and their kindness have kept me alive. Because without cannabis, I am an unfunctioning human being. It's just how it is. I'm speaking to you guys tonight because I'm on cannabis. I'm using cannabis today, which was donated. So, but I wasn't. Had you asked me to do this yesterday, it would have not been real. I would not have been able to sit here and talk to you like this. Today was the first time I had pants on in 10 days.
And I got to tell you, I stay in touch with Matt as much as possible. And when he's not kidding, man, when he doesn't have anything, when he doesn't have meds, he is hurting really bad. And it's amazing. Like 2 grams of bud just dropped off by a weed nerd. And all of a sudden he's eating. He's like, first thing he says is like, I ate because I got stoned. And it's like, a lot of us make fun about this whole thing, but this is life and death for Matt. And that is why I'm bringing this to the table, so you guys can know about it. I will tell you something else that me and Matt have in common is one of the things that happened to him was he inhaled some really nasty stuff. Was oil, Gringoli? Was oil or tires or what did you inhale?
It's not just me, but yeah, a lot of vets in these places, they had, and then the government's now acknowledging it, burn pits where they were burning everything from blown up trucks to bio waste and all kinds of stuff. And you're living next to it in a tent and it's burning 24 hours a day. And you're breathing that on top of the air that's already filled with 40% fecal matter. And then you're wondering why you got half a lung that doesn't work. It's not really rocket science. Those are toxic chemicals being burnt 10 feet from where you're standing 24 hours a day.
So you guys understand, I've actually got time to hang out with Goalie. We spent, I don't know, 4 or 5 days together in Cali. Something I'll never forget. And but Matt has, so when I do certain things, I have a really hard time. You guys don't see it on cam. Jill sees it because of my breathing problems. His is 10 times worse. I mean, just taking a shower and getting ready with his lungs, and the fact that he's not very ambulatory, it's a bitch. So if you guys can see in your heart to help Matt out, I'll also tell you that if you vets want to contact him on Instagram, I know that happens a lot. A lot of you guys in Florida that actually can go visit Goalie directly and help him directly. I'm kind of talking in circles a little bit. I would recommend somebody not fucking send him something from another place. This has been tried before. Don't get this man in trouble. That's why we're bringing it to the table for.
Right, don't get.
But I will also say,
that's
in trouble. Okay.
Or yourselves. Like that's part of all the nonsense of the whole world that they're crazy with. Like, let us all help each other.
I'm gonna go ahead and sell it because I wouldn't say it. That I wouldn't be doing my job. So a couple of people have been really nice in the past. And, they sent him a couple of packages, but they're like fucking Spicoli packing them and shit. There's resin and shit dripping out of the box. So, that's not what we're asking for today. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Please hang around on the show.
I will. I appreciate you guys and everything the nerds do. I love you guys. It's really good to see you again.
Thanks, brother. Minnesota Nice, I think you had something, my friend. I saw you looking.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the nerds that have been donating so far through Super Chat right now. I do want to put out a friendly reminder to everybody and let you know, if you want the Gleam giveaway link, you need to donate through the Growing Together website. The ones who have donated the $20 entry through Super Chat, please go to the Growing Together website send me an email and I'll send you the raffle ticket. I'll make sure you get it.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of this stuff, we are learning this stuff as we go. So we're a team here, just putting this stuff together, making it work. The reason we're trying to route everything to the GoFundMe is because I am trying to get out of the handling the money end of it, because I have to deal with enough taxes already. I don't mind. I'm not bitching or anything, but it would just be nicer if all the money went to one location. But I can already tell you just in this case location, there's already mail on the way to Goalie. So you guys are kind of paying me back right now. So we just want to make sure this damn phone get turned off. So thanks everybody for that. We want to kick it now to one of our guests, Phylos Bioscience, and I'd like to thank you and Lesta for hanging out during that. You can see that this is important, what we're doing, but we want to get right into it right now. So I talked to you guys a minute ago, Phylos Bioscience. I heard about them about a year and a half ago. I heard that there was a company out there, and Malik will pull up the Galaxy here in a second, that was doing genetic testing, and they were mapping strains on a galaxy. And so we started getting involved there. Initially, I was very hesitant. And in fact, I'm be honest with you, they don't have all 45 of mine in Jill strains yet. We're doing some males, and we're going to send them Jack's Cleaner and see what it says. But so let's kick it over to Ben. So why don't you tell us what Phylos Bioscience does instead of my dumb ass?
No worries. So Phylos started about 3 years ago as a project with the Natural History Museum in New York called the Cannabis Evolution Project. And they really just wanted to look at how cannabis has evolved over the past 10, 15, possibly 20,000 years under human domestication. And so that was really the kickoff for that project. They also wanted to look at what was called like the naming problem, understanding that a lot of strains that you would buy were either mislabeled or renamed by someone, and no one really had any idea for the most part what they were really growing or smoking mostly.
You set yourself up because you know what's coming next. So we got God's pussy on the galaxy, dude. You know that was coming. So
yeah.
How did we get God's pussy on the galaxy?
I don't know. That's really unfortunate name, and so yeah, it needs to be.
Well, now I was busting your chops on that one, but now I'm going to tell you the interesting part. So me and Jill were there during that whole event, and we won't recant it, but it's just a guy entered a strain of ours. He said it was Vortex. He used an improper name, and he won. Okay, tell that strain resembles 3D more to me, and we'll get into this just a little bit more because I actually want to bring the Galaxy up and maybe help you understand a little bit, because it's not as easy to understand as you would think. I mean, we have two samples in there now. We have the Space Dude and the Jack the Ripper, and Nishan is telling me that he thinks somehow the test got messed up and we're going to retest. But when I look at those samples, they look completely different to me. But apparently to you guys, y'all can read them differently because they come from different angles. Can you kind of explain that?
I think the background on that is, I think 2 of those males just popped up as the same genotype, and maybe possibly in the sampling was mislabeled or sent to us, and so we're going to retest it on you and find out. But that happens all the time.
I'll do it.
In regards, sometimes people will just like, oh, this plant was really close to another one, and they just sent in the wrong sample. But yeah,
I got you.
We'll get it fixed out for you.
Cool. And I talked to the department on Friday, and this is, that's one of the things she said right away. She was like, well, let's get 2 more and let's just go through it. We're not going to figure out where it happened. Let's just do it again. And I'll tell you guys that we're working with stems.
Yeah.
We're washing pieces of stem off in alcohol and putting them in envelopes. And I'm not saying Badger made a mistake, but we can certainly say it could have happened. Yeah. So now we have them in there. And so who are your customers now?
I mean, we work with a bunch of various people all throughout the cannabis industry, from just mom and pop operations, like small grows, all the way up to, I mean, we work with people like you, obviously, Homegrown Natural Wonders, DNA Genetics, Cookie Family, just a bunch of different people. So we're all over the map.
Now, I understand, and because if I switch you or whatever, just so we're just hanging out, we're friends. That's the way we look at the show. So we're just trying to understand this as well as my fans here. So one of the things that we notice is when I start looking over the galaxy, I notice that there is a lot of damn blue dream in the galaxy. And when I first started talking to you guys, the explanation that I got was that y'all have received an enormous amount of Blue Dream samples. And so the more samples that are submitted to the company and the more the galaxy grows, then the galaxy gets more accurate. Can you kind of explain how that works and how it had started off?
Yeah, so originally we collected about 2,000 different samples from 80 different countries. And those came from many different sources, including like Rob Clark and then just other people around the country. And we mapped those and then released it to the public, and then anyone could start pouring in stuff, any of the varieties. And so at first, a lot of people were just dumping in whatever they thought they had. And so, for instance, for Blue Dream, it's pretty obvious on the Galaxy if there's a bunch of different Blue Dreams around, but you see one Blue Dream in the Galaxy and it has a bunch of names attached to it that are also Blue Dream, then chances are that is Blue Dream. But after that, we started getting more pedigree samples from people like you and the breeders I mentioned earlier. And that way we know, like, hey, this is the official cut from this person. And people can actually find out what they have for sure.
One thing that I really liked, this is a test kit here. So it's not that complicated. It's basically got some information and it's got something for you to send stuff back. And it's got a couple of pipettes and containers and everything to get it in there. But once you get it in there and your genetic samples in place, the submitter can go in and actually enter in the genetic information that he knows, the history. He can put pictures of his parents in there. And as what I saw was like, I Jill a while to get it all in there. But once we have an entire galaxy built of the TGA database, I mean, it's gonna be badass to be able to sit there and look at all the connections. So,
oh yeah,
that was where I was going.
We're adding.
That's what I really like.
Yeah, we're adding chemotype data too, so you'll be able to upload that information as well, or by sending us your test results.
So far we've been talking about genetic testing in the galaxy, but I would imagine that the largest part of y'all's business right now is sex testing. So I talked to a friend of mine last week. I guess he sent you guys 1,000 and you sent him back numbers on 550. So I guess he was only in week 3. So, I mean, the amount of money he just saved on lights, time, it's just enormous. So tell us a little bit about the sexing test. How old does a plant have to be to test, and kind of walk us through that, Ben?
Yeah, no problem. So the plant only needs to be 7 to 10 days old. We're testing that small cotyledon leaf. So that's that round leaf. Some people call it the embryotic leaf. And so you can test that anywhere from 7 to 10 days after germination. And then it just takes a few days back in our lab. So if you send it to us in the mail, it's a couple days. Most of the time, if you do it early enough, you can figure it out before week 2 in veg what you have.
Nice.
Cool. And by the way, I'm going to just remind you guys, I am really bad about jumping right. It's only 6:25 and we're like hardcore to the show here. So don't forget we have the clean contest. Don't forget we have a lot of nice stuff going on behind the scenes for you guys to check out. And I just want to remind you about that. $20 donation ticket to get into the Gleam contest to win one of the prizes, which we'll continue to build every week. All right. So how accurate are these sex test kits? I mean, you have any problems with large tests of inaccuracy, or are they really accurate?
I mean, we've done, I think a couple clients have done upwards to 18,000 sex tests at a time, and we've never had a problem. I mean, they're fairly accurate. We're looking at the Y chromosome of the DNA, and so we can figure out if it's male or female that way. And I should mention that it is pretty cost effective because it's only over 100. If you're testing more than 100 plants, it's only $9.95 per plant.
That's dirt cheap. So, all right. Well, so somebody just asked something pretty important. This is in California, but this is, I mean, you guys, what all do you service? Do you service everywhere? Can anybody send you samples?
Yeah, I mean, we service any of the legal or medical states. We use a cotyledon leaf, which doesn't produce any glandular trichomes, and so there's no cannabinoids, and that's what's actually under a Controlled Substance Act. And you're just sending a small green smear. It's not even any leaf material. On the card itself, you just press down and then you could wipe away the leaf material, and it just leaves a small green stain. And so that's enough DNA for us to sample.
Wow.
Now, when I did my genetic test, I know we washed the piece of stem off in alcohol and sent it in. Have you had, I mean, has the bad guys ever gotten a hold of boxes of shit and went like, okay, we want to fuck with you, and they're like, oh, we can't fuck with you? I mean, is it?
No. I mean, we'll only accept samples that have been washed that way. So once it's washed, it reduces or removes all the residual cannabinoids, and then essentially it's a hemp sample at that point. It's just a small stem sample, which was never regulated by the DEA, so we were approved to do this.
That's badass.
Yeah, found a way to get.
I'm still trying to get seeds to count as that stem sample, just so you know.
Right. Well, the problem when testing like a seed for like a genotype test is that a seed is always a different genotype whenever you grow a new one out, and so it has so much genetic variation. It would make more sense to just test clone only varieties.
Makes good sense. All right, so this doesn't cause any stress to the plant. I mean, as long as we take just a teeny piece, like you said, it's a smear. That's it. It's a smear.
Most of the time, you could just use like even half the cotyledon leaf, and it definitely causes, I'd say, little to zero stress. Definitely way less stress than people forcing their plants and then getting that plant to produce different hormones for a few days until it shows sex. That definitely causes some stress on that plant.
Well, now, Ben, I know why. Me and Jill know why it's important to us, because we want to learn more about what we're doing. In fact, I cannot wait to test Jack's Cleaner F1, because you don't know, but it's fucking everything. It's Northern Lights, it's Pluton, it's got lamb spread, and it's got, and you guys will tell me whether I'm wrong or not. You know, all I have is the oral 30-year history of the growers, which, by the way, I'll tell the weed nerds and everything, when I talk to the people at Phylos, what they like from me and what they're getting from me is the vocal or oral history of these genetics. I mean, me and Jill hung out with Kim Dog for a fucking week before he got busted, and all the genetics went into the stratosphere, and Kim Dog genetics became like a shower onto the genetic pool. So like, we actually were sitting there eating hot dogs and smoking bud with him before all this happened. So it's great to be able to see the stuff on a graph and everything. But there's a difference when you actually know the people that this shit came from. And like when you guys test Boggs gear, it's going to be really cool, Ben, if you test Bushy Old Growers gear, because when I was in the joint, I sent Boggs some of my genetics, and he used my genetics to create his company. So that's what I want to see, is how all the people.
Homegrown does too. His males are the exact same as our males.
Yeah, homegrown natural wonders would be our males.
Clones of our males.
Yep, and some of the breeders we work with. So that's just going to be cool to see how that stuff shapes out. Yeah. But why is this stuff important to someone who doesn't breed, or someone just a grower? Why is genomic testing important?
I'd say even if you're just a grower, you should find out what you have. I think it's really important, because you're passing that on to the dispensary, who's passing that on to the consumer. And if the consumer thinks they're getting cookie, or they think they're getting one of your varieties, and they're getting something completely different, they're gonna either find that experience not as enjoyable, or they'll go to different dispensaries and be like, oh, it's the same name as the one I tried last time, and get a completely different experience. And so we just kind of want to fix that for people. And I think growers in general just want to be accurate and find out what they're growing.
I'm so good.
I think it's important for the medical aspect, because there's certain plants that do certain things for certain medical ailments and illnesses. And, you know, you don't want to give someone with anxiety a plant that's a bud when they go into the dispensary that's actually a high sativa or a haze. You might nuke somebody the hell out. So.
You know, and I can also see, Ben, I just thought of a little, well, you already figured this out, but I just thought of a little bit more business for you. So if I owned a high-end dispensary, I was treating the Tesla crowd, you can bet your ass I'd have all my strains certified, because we know as growers in a dispensary, if Platinum OG Kush is what's selling and it sells out, they just put some other weed in that fucking jar. So it'd be really cool to dispensary to have certified Jilly Bean, because Jilly Bean is good for treating post-traumatic stress syndrome. And again, if you gave somebody some G13 or something, it might have an opposite effect. So, yeah, that would be really cool. Certified smoke.
Yeah. I think you're tapping into some stuff. I think that'll be down the way, and I think it's really interesting to be able to do that. And again, for what you mentioned for the medical aspect, it's really important to find the same thing every time. Say it helps with epilepsy or PTSD or whatever it is, you need to track down that same genetic every single time. It'll make it a lot easier to do so. For instance, we had a father come in recently who had something that had helped his daughter a lot, and he brought a stem sample in, so we were able to sequence that and try to track it down for him again. So find who else maybe had it in the galaxy.
Awesome.
Nice.
So, by the way, Minnesota Nice is desperately trying to get you guys' attention here, making donations to go through the actual donation site. So you can win a D-nail or a glass bong or something like that. So just trying to help him out here. So you guys actually go click on that donation link. So it goes to
Yeah, check it out, guys.
So
some of the items in this week's giveaway. We got the D-nail. You know, $20 gets you a raffle ticket. You can win a D-nail. You could also win a dab rig.
Dropping the email in the chat too, so you guys email us so we can get you the link for the Gleam giveaway.
Did I do good? Minnesota Nice, you like that segue?
I did. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Everybody does. The weed nerds appreciate that, especially the kids. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, I'm going to chime in here again real quick, and I'm sorry to go off topic here, but I just want to thank you, Sub. I don't think anybody on this panel has ever been like, thank you. You know, like this organization started because of you and Miss Jill. You know, you guys have always put your heart and soul into helping people, and that's Malik and mine's intentions here is to carry out what you guys began, and you know, we want to continue to help people. So, thank you, Sub. Thank you, Miss Jill.
That makes me feel good. All right, Ben. Back to the science shit. So, tell us about dynamic functionality.
Oh, about what we do in general, or should I just break down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really want to know, how do you do genomic testing? I mean, what is it? You don't have to. Don't have to bow a stone. Just tell us how it works.
I'd love to talk about this. I mean, this is the Weed Nerd Show, so we're gonna get real nerdy. So, essentially, when you get, you have two amazing scientists that also work outside of Phylos, or with Phylos, I mean. Jess Christoph and Alicia Holloway. Jess is like the head of the lab, and Alicia Holloway is the head of bioinformatics at Phylos, and the Galaxy is really her brainchild. And so when you send a sample to us, it gets broken down. We use something that's called a PCR machine, which is stands for polymerase chain reaction, and that's just a molecular genetic analysis of short sequence DNA. And so when we analyze that sample, we're looking at about what's called SNPs. And so those are like single nucleotide polymorphisms. And so that's what drives evolution. And we're specifically looking at 3,000 of them. And those were chosen for their involvement in ancestry, essentially. And so those get broken down, and then Alicia and her team break down the analytical information, the bioinformatics, and display that in the Galaxy in 3D space. Oh, I think.
Oh, you're muted, Sub.
Yep.
Sorry. We take it for granted how simple this stuff is, but it's pretty awesome that you can do that. And how fast do you get these results?
So typically it's about in 2 to 4 weeks. This is the same machinery that's used in the Human Genome Project. But yeah, typically 2 to 4 weeks. We do about 1 to 2 runs a month. And so the Galaxy's getting updated all the time and growing constantly.
Okay, so when we're talking about breeding cannabis, it sounds like to me that genoming could help figure out, create a more stable progeny. Because if we tested, say, this would this is getting complicated, but let's say we grew out 500 seeds of a certain strain, and then we got every one of those female seeds tested. What is that going to tell us across a line like that?
So I could tell you several things. In that genotype test, there is about 6 different widgets of information, and number 5 shows what's called hetero and homozygosity. And so that is the variation in your progeny. And so if you looked at those 500, let's say you grew out 500 seeds, let's just say 250 are female. If you look at those 250 females, genotyped each one, you would be able to see their variation. And then you could find, let's say, the most stable one, so the most homozygous one, and then use that for your next breeding project. Finding another homozygous male as well, and then breeding those further and further, and then your progeny eventually in X amount of generations could be stable, and you could have what's called a true breed seed line.
So are any other cannabis breeders taking advantage of this technology yet?
I think a few people are. I think a lot of people have started to take the first steps, but it's definitely another interesting avenue for breeders to kind of pursue. So we love genetic diversity, and number 6 on that genotype report will show you almost the exact opposite, which is the furthest relationship from your plant. So you can track down another plant that's completely or almost unrelated to yours, and that will also help drive genetic diversity if you want to track that down and breed with that plant. And so I think there's 2 steps that cannabis can go. One will be maybe perhaps really diverse heterozygous seed packs and ones that are true breed seed packs, homozygous. And we all know growing from seed, you get that taproot, you get a much stronger plant. It's pest resistant because it's not just a clone only. And so I think there's a really bright future for cannabis and for cannabis breeders in general.
So when I originally heard about you guys, and by the way, that is fucking awesome, because that means that what I've been doing for 30 years, which is breeding and taking an enormous amount of time to test things visually, smoking a lot of fucking bowls, making a lot of hash. Now we can do it with numbers, and it's going to speed things up and make things more true. And I really get into that. But I was just going to tell you, when we first heard about you guys, and we heard that y'all were collecting genetic material, we were like, oh, well, these guys are collecting genetic material for their own benefit. But it's not like you guys can do anything with the data. It's just data. But I would like you to tell us more about the Open Cannabis Project database.
I think a lot of people originally thought we were like the Jurassic Park of cannabis, and we're going to try to bring back strains, and that was not the goal. And so the Open Cannabis Project is something we started. And so when you turn in a genotype report, you can click a box that says you're into sharing your information, open to sharing your information. And that gets publicly published on the Open Cannabis Project website. And therefore, it's almost like IP protection. No one else can really patent that. It's just public information. No one could take that away. It's just a way to really protect the plant in general from people like Monsanto and future conglomerates that may have different genotypes. Yeah, that's the website up there right now. It's a fantastic project. We're really happy to be involved with it.
Sub, you're muted again.
No, I got it. I'm actually trying to get into my genotype reports. I was going to show somebody real quick what we're actually talking about. So here is my database. So as you can see right here, I actually have the reports that I have submitted, so I can go in and edit them, look at them and everything. And then I have actually test kits. This is one of the test kits right here. It's got a number on it. So it's tracked from them to you and then from you to them. So we will get these back next week with our males and our females. But if we actually go in here, and we're going to click on the space tube and go in here, and this is the information that Ben was talking about. So here is this isn't the galaxy, but this is my breakdown of my genotype. So in here, we talk about all the connections we have, immediate family, relative, clone. This is this novelty score, population report. This is this genetic distant varieties. So as you can see here, there's a nice list of things that are really different from what we're working with. So it's
you can click on each one of those, and sometimes people will attach like their website or contact info to that. For instance, that's Dank. I think he's an old school breeder. That'd be a little hard to contact, but other people, you'd be able to find stuff. Maybe communicate with them in some social way and see about working out a breeding project.
So as you can see how as breeders or even growers, I mean, this information is mind-boggling for us. So, and we talked about how your company changes with the amount of information that's submitted. The more information that's submitted, especially like when me and Jill submit our 15 mothers and 8 fathers or whatever. I mean, there's 15 fucking seed companies breeding with our genetics. So that database is going to get really big, really fast and tell us a lot of information. Am I correct that it's going to get more accurate the more information you guys collect?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And specifically with pedigree samples we've been collecting too. So in the corner, it obviously says Subcool, so people know what your stuff is. If it's going to say homegrown or DNA genetics or Jai, and always mention the person's name up there. So you'll know if that's the real breeder or not and be able to have that info.
I like that a lot. So what's the craziest thing that's happening? You deal with a lot of crazy people. You deal with, growers are not the, we're not the fucking most stable people always. So have you had any interesting dealings? What's the craziest thing you've dealt with in dealing with cannabis?
I mean, there's definitely many growers up on the mountain that have thought we work for Monsanto or are Monsanto. And I mean, I get that the project probably sounded scary at first, that we're collecting DNA samples. But I think that was quickly squashed. Mowgli, who's the chief scientific officer at Phylos, even gave an interview where he said, F Monsanto. And so that was the header for this whole article. And I think that shut up that conversation real fast.
That's fucking awesome, dude. All right. Well, I think we've covered all this, but I do have one more question for you that I ask all my panelists. And so, I mean, I know a good bit about your company, and me and Jill are getting more involved every day. In fact, she's probably excited now to go test the sample, get the samples tested, and make sure we get them right. But what's new with Phylos? I mean, what's on the future with all this cutting edge technologies you have?
I think the genotype will be used more and more for breeding, which will help with accuracy, people getting true breed stable lines. And I think that might be a good future. And then you kind of touched on some stuff. You'll be able to essentially upload chemotype data to your plants, which will be nice phenotype data essentially on every genotype. If you had 10, 20 different people sending in their data from the same genotype, you'll be able to kind of see its range. And so we're really excited about the future. You can add photos, have all your website information up there. So we're just going to keep working on what we're doing.
Cool. So I just came up with a project me and you will work on. It can't be this year because the way things work, but check this out. So we created Pennywise, TGA Genetics working with breeders. We created Pennywise, which we've hit as high as 21% CBD to 1. And in about 4 weeks, we're going to be releasing a strain called Deadlights, which is the Charlotte's Web ACDC times a Pennywise male that tested high. And we hit 28 with it. So what I would really like to do next year is take as large a spectrum of these plants as possible, a large spectrum of Pennywise, a large spectrum of ACDCs, and do exactly what you're talking about. Go in there and find the plants that have these super high numbers without going through 80 growers and 80 tests. And we could speed to the finish line of creating something incredible.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could create a high CBD seed line that's really, really stable. So every single seed that you come out with will be really, really high. And that way you can get medicine out to the people and who really, really need it. Because I know you touched on earlier, and he touched on earlier about how when we were chatting before the show about how more and more people should be involved with cultivating their medicine if they use it, because it's almost therapeutic in a way. And I think true seed lines would be really nice to get out to the people.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard that here first. That's badass. I mean, that just flew in my head. It didn't take a heartbeat to get him, a group of males, a group of females, get the CBD one, stabilize the line. Because what you have now, everybody knows, if you buy Pennywise or Deadlights now, you're either going to get one or the other. You're going to get a 21 to 1, or you're going to get a 12%, or then you're going to get one high in THC. So we can speed this to a place to where when a patient buys a pack of seeds, he doesn't have to go through what we go through, which is selection. Ben, thank you so much for your information. You're not done yet. No stupid questions.
Thank you so much for having us on the show. Well,
hang out, learn, listen.
Perfect.
I got to kick it over to Minnesota Nice right now and do a little bit of business. I'm sure he's got some stuff going on over there. How you doing, big man?
Doing good. I just want to thank everybody for the donations tonight with Growing Together and for the green goalie through Super Chat. It's absolutely amazing here, guys. And want to remind everybody once again, if you want to buy a raffle ticket on the Growing Together website. I just posted the link in chat. Make sure to click that. Take you over there. It'll show you the items up for raffle this week, and all the donations that we raise from the raffle tickets will go towards our charities.
Hey, Malik, do me a favor. By the way, Malik, Spider hanging out with Shannon. Malik's our media. He's our media director. Pull up that baby Ethan picture that we had last week. Can you find that one with the successful surgery? I think you found that. Yeah. But so Malik, what Malik does is, and I like to tell the story of this guy. I mean, he does it in the background for all the channels. Now, he is, I would like to say he is our super mod, but anytime there's a stream, he joins a channel, whether he's on the panel or not, he makes it happen. He's always pulling up the links to find out what happens. So this is, if you want to know what Growing Together does and the Weed Nerd Nation does, there it is right there. So this is one of the kids Baby Jackson. Yeah, I think it was $2,200 we raised for Baby Jackson. So I've got it all written down. But this is what we do. And if that don't make you feel good, so while we were sitting here talking about growing weed and breaking the law in some places and getting high and bullshitting and saying fuckers, we helped a little kid. So that's what I like about this show. So I would like to thank Lesta Bentley. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what matters. It's not for us. There's people that need it more than we do. So
yeah. The rest is superfluity, in my opinion. Which, let's get back to the superfluity. So we have Lesta Bentley with us tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'm going to turn you over to the lovely Miss Jill.
Hey there, Lesta. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you have started a couple of dispensaries in Oregon, and you started those from the ground up, and you've started a couple of outdoor recreational grows. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
I started in, my first dispensary was in Silverton, and I started with, as a medical dispensary because recreation wasn't in Oregon yet. So we started with the system that they had in place with OHA and learned slowly how that system works and how there's a lot of people that are very positive about having it in our little small town. There's a lot of question. And so when I first started and realized how many people were really interested in getting off opiates and the things they could do, how we could help our direct community, then I got into the recreational at the beginning of this year. So when that turned over in January, we didn't really have a choice. Either we're going to stay in business and go recreational with the state the way they allow it, or we would go out of business. So because they did get rid of the medical dispensaries altogether. There's not one or the other. You either get to have a business or you don't get to have one. So what is the benefit then of having a medical card then if you're in Oregon, being a patient? Well, the nice part about Oregon as well is they let everybody grow 4 plants, which is kind of nice. If you have a medical card, you grow 6. Right. As well as your. And you can. If you have a medical, say I have my medical card, I could grow my 6. My husband that does not could grow his 4 recreational. So then we could grow 10. Okay. Because mine would be a complete separate regulation. If you are if you are per household. So if we were both recreational only, we could not grow 8 plants. We could only grow 4.
Right. So I just want to make sure I understand the difference, though. So if you're medical, that's personal use. If you're recreational, you can sell the cannabis?
No. You only if you have a recreational license through the state. So, but any person in Oregon can grow marijuana in their yard. So that's kind of nice too. They give people the option to be able to grow their own no matter what. Well, if I know as a medical patient, you were able to sell your overages to the medical dispensaries. Are recreational patients or recreational users allowed to sell their overages to dispensaries? Nope. Recreational. And really, nope. There's some things that they're allowing now as some medical that they're still going to allow a little bit of spillover, is what they're calling it. The system isn't really set up yet, so we'll see how that turns out. Really, they don't want that. They want the licensing and they want the tax money. So They're not going to allow too much of that to happen because there is no when it comes to medical patients, they do not pay sales tax. Even though they're purchasing from my store, I don't have to pay and collect a sales tax for them. But
so that's one of the benefits of having a medical card when you go into a dispensary. What are the other benefits?
You get a higher, as far as edibles, if you wanted to get higher dose medicine, you'd be able to purchase things that recreation wouldn't be able to have. It's still very low numbers. So for recreational, each package they purchase can only be a 50 milligram pack. So a candy bar can only be up to 50 milligrams for the whole bar. Unlike a lot of things, we've seen bars that are 1,000 milligrams. That doesn't right. Isn't here. Even our medical is only up to 100 milligrams per package. So they do get double pretty much for the same price and then no tax. So there's a little bit of benefit for them as long as it's worth them. Like to get a card is about $300. So you have to pay your doctor right. And then you have to pay the actual state to be part of the registration system, and you are tracked and they track everything you do and what you spend. And if you want to be part of that, a lot of people do not want to be part of that system. So
if you're on SSI or food stamps, then you'll get your
considerably discounted. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how that has affected the quality of the cannabis that's in your shop now that you have are no longer able to purchase from a private medical grower versus now you have to purchase from a recreational licensed recreational facility.
So a lot of the recreational farms that were licensed last year were people that were not quality growers or growing or knowing even what they're doing, to be honest. I mean, and started so late in season. They licensed mainly outdoor grows first. And so what got put into the system was pretty low quality, to be honest. I mean, we're just now seeing some small tiers and micro grows that are coming up with really beautiful indoor and even some better quality outdoor, because now they're being able to figure out how our climate really works here and what you need for light depth. You know, they just weren't prepared. And so we had a dispensary for a long time that was just full of crap. I mean, just stuff that you know, especially if you've been someone that was smoking medical quality for so long, to see things that are that low quality and then very low numbers too. So people that are used to, smoking higher percent THC products were just not, they just didn't have that available to them. Right. Luckily now we are seeing a big influx of higher quality coming in. The price of those products though are a lot of times out of people's range. You know, I mean, for a while in the medical, you're getting a decent ounce for a couple $100. Now it's, almost $375. So. Wow.
So what kind of advocacy have you participated in?
Well, I try to stay as local as possible. Even when I was living in Washington before, we did a lot of things where we made sure children that needed CBD RSO, we had a network of people that would basically drive all over the state to make sure that people got things because we couldn't send it in the mail. And so we had kind of this Green Angel fairy group of people that would come and donate their time. And that was probably one of the best things that I'm still involved in here in Oregon and that we do. We also do a pay it forward at our store. So we have a jar basically on the counter, and everybody, instead of like putting in their change or like a tip, they put $1 in for every sale. We generate a lot of money that goes to patients that can't either afford to get their own card or cannot afford to get the medicine that they need, or they need to get communication or transportation to go to a physician for some reason, or they're not allowed to grow because they're in an apartment somewhere. We donate ounces to patients, and I can do it for patients. The law here is I cannot give away something to a recreational user. If they have a medical card, I can give it to them for free. But as a person, I can give anything away I want. I can't sell it. but I can give it to them. So if it's purchased through my Pay It Forward fund and it belongs to me, I can do anything I want with it, and they can't do anything about it. So you got to find out how those legalities work, check with your attorney to make sure you're not doing anything wrong, and then, you know, step up and do those things you want. There are ways to make sure people get the help that they want. You just have to be careful about how you actually go about it. But that's probably the biggest thing. Our Pay It Forward now is definitely is awesome. Our community does really awesome things here.
So what are some of your favorite strains, and how are they medicinally how do they medicinally benefit your patients?
Well, you had mentioned Pennywise earlier. Pennywise and Hercule are probably both CBD rich strains that I'm able to get. You know, a lot of people that are coming in, they haven't smoked weed for 40 years, and now they're on all these pharmaceuticals that they don't want to be on anymore. And so I can't just give them a 25, 28% THC product. They're going to freak out, and they're never going to try it again. It's not in a pill. It's not in a perfect package for them to understand how to use it. And so to be able to use products like that, to be able to get people started and to be able to, you know, get people into the fact that it's safe and it actually works for them. And the CBDs help so many varieties of things, from menopause symptoms to opiate abuse to cancer to nausea. That's the big, I mean, for us right now, those are probably, you know, the biggest. I carry 6 to 8 different types of CBD flower alone, let alone product in our store. So, and then of course, everybody loves Jelly Bean for PTSD. You know, there's a lot of that. Like, the problem is getting them, because now we're in that recreational system that I don't have the variety of small growers that have so many other things available. I'm kind of stuck with what these giant farms are producing, which doesn't give me the ability to have the strains that I think would work best for people, because it's not on the market here. So I'm hoping to see some of those medical strains come in those smaller tiers again, and you know, that will make a difference.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So what are you, more of a flower or extract connoisseur?
I'm an oil connoisseur. I don't smoke anything really, you know. So I mean, that's the thing for me, is I do like oil. I've really been getting into edibles too lately, and a bunch of tinctures, and I don't know, there's so many things on the market. I just kind of been trying everything. So but I do love oil. I used to run oil and run CO2, so my heart is kind of attached to that. Rosin would be my, you know, probably my favorite choice, or some of the, you know, definitely non-chemical.
What type of rosin?
Yeah.
You like flower rosin or hash rosin?
Both.
Both.
And you know, for me, I mean, you know, you've spent a lot of time with me. I'm busy, and I don't smoke very often. Thanks, Seb. I don't smoke very often, and if I do, it's at night. And so I want something that is going to be good, because I'm not smoking I'm smoking a little bit, and I want it to be worth it for me. But I don't do it in the day, and I'm busy most of the time, and I take care of my mom and everything else. So, you know, but if I have the chance, that's what I want. I want something good. I don't want to.
So do you have a lot of patients? Do you have a lot of patients you help on the side then?
Always. Yeah.
Always.
What's
the most popular type of product?
Probably still like RSO capsules. Like, still, I help a lot of people make capsules in doses that are available. You know, the problem with just getting a syringe is some of these people they can't dose it out, or they don't know what they're doing, or they can't figure it out. So, I mean, concentrates, isolates, you know, and distillates now making their own products so much easier. So I do a lot of that as far as patient help. I just really, we have classes that are going to be coming up this next 2 weeks that I'm teaching people how to make their own edibles out of concentrates, because those, you know, that high dose stuff isn't available. And the high dose stuff of CBD is not available, and CBD 1-to-1 and 20-to-1s, and the things you really need are not available, but I can teach people how to make them. So that's my thing.
Good.
Yeah. So.
what is your favorite part, most rewarding part of being in the cannabis industry?
Oh, definitely helping patients. There's no doubt about it. I have an 89-year-old right now that they told her like a year ago she had 3 months to live because she had stage 4 lung cancer. She's been taking low dose CBD. I mean, I say low dose, probably 30 milligrams a day, 30 to 40 milligrams a day, and a little bit of THC because you really need that synergistic to make that stuff work. Like CBD alone is great, but you need a little THC to make it work. And most people, if you're taking that much CBD, don't feel the THC in that low dose anyway. So, but she's still alive. They told her she had, 6 months or 6 weeks to 2 months to live, and she's still extremely well. So she's going to make her 90th this year.
Do you have so if there's any patients watching the show and they're within driving distance of Silverton, Oregon, would they be able to just come into your shop, whether they're patients or recreational users, and get information if they're confused and need direction? Would that be something you would offer to them?
Everybody that we have working at our dispensary is well trained, and if they have questions, they call me or they can set up an appointment with me. So how much do you charge for a patient? No, I don't charge anything.
What do you charge? That's awesome. So if there's anybody out there, if you need help and you're within driving distance of Silverton, Oregon, please look up the Lucky Leaf. What is your address, Lesta?
It's 208 Jersey Street in Silverton, Oregon.
Very good then. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining, and we'd love to have you back again sometime, and I hope you hang around.
Anytime. I love you guys.
Thanks. Love you too.
Love you, Lesta. Awesome job, baby. Good job. All right, everybody, we have 332 people watching tonight. That's freaking incredible. Baby, I know you have stuff to do. Can you hang around for about 10 minutes after the break?
Absolutely.
Cool. We're going to take a short break here real quick. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks to for all the listening to all the tech and everything. We're going to be back with questions for our guests. In the second hour, we'll unwind just a little bit, kick back, load some extra bowls. We want to go on break right now, get something to drink, whatever, get you some more weed, grind it up. We'll be back with the lovely Miss Chill after the break. Take us out, Minnesota Nice.
Yeah, how I grown up in a unique country. What am I dealing with? Babylon, I try to stop it. What am I pre?
Whoa, Mendo Dope. Whoa, DJ Ignite. Whoa, and Windstrong.
It's been a long time. We there in the weak country. We come for one. We no want nothing from a Anya in the weak country.
Born and raised, we are rooted in the Emerald Tribe. It's a way of life here, and we telling them why. Legalize weed, CBDs, keep them alive. But to the feds, cultivating is a felony crime.
Support my activism, I'm taking hits like Kenny Estes, Brownie, Mary, and Eddie Left. Let me get this out to the sick so they can live. Felonies are being committed while doing this.
Mendocino is the county I'm stepping in. The risks that we take just to bring them their medicine. We veteran growers like B.E. Smith, weed country, Northern California, green tree gift.
Nick Black, induce this, edibles, cannabinoids, healing in different type of forms. You don't believe me, hidden treasure, no pressure. Wanna try it yourself, you'll feel better.
It's been a long time. We there in the weak country. We come for one. We no want nothing from a Anya in the weak country.
This ain't a drug, it's a natural herb, a medication prescribed by God for this earth. Observe, it heals the pain with these strains, mixing my soil and growing high grade organic. No pills cause they killing me, originals, Mendo, Humboldt, Trinity, outlaws, living outside the law, doing it for the patient, I stand, won't fall.
Grace to Trinity, my first granddaughter. Original granddaddy, strain is much darker. Many try to replicate the market that they devastate. My country, hate country, don't tolerate a new taste. It's family and we protect it with our faith. This is where I'd rather be instead of hip hopping all day. Livers just rotting away. Veganics ahead of the game and always we're weed country renegades.
It's been a long time. We there in the weed country. We come to one day. We no want no informer on ya in the weed country. True farmer man, stand up for your right with all your might. I've been praying to see that day. Police control, instrument of state, farmers living in constant fear. The game is told, solidarity goes both ways. It a go trade in a Babylon. Babylon fill out the meditation, at the healing of the nation. The farmer man them need a new formation. It's been too long. It's been too long. We there in the weed country, in the weed country.
Awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out after the break. So we're back, and let's see, 321 people hanging out with us tonight.
Yay.
Yeah, pretty cool. I wanted to ask Mail-It real quick. So what is the deal with the bag and book last week? Did it just not get enough entries?
The bag and book, actually, it got quite a few entries, about 205 or 230 now. It's doing pretty good, and it's going to finish up here in a couple days. We got 8 days left. We're going to run that one a little bit longer and try to see if we can sweeten the pot with it.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. So that's just some, I want to thank the American one. He is a chat member that follows us, and he gives us just so much vintage stuff. It is just unreal. Boxes of stuff laying around here. It's like cool vintage shit that I can give you guys. So, and when we do during the week, when I do the little silly contest, the name a song, cough stuff or whatever, I usually send out marijuana greeting cards and stickers.
You know, I want to give a reminder about the fungus gnat hat pins. I have a whole bunch of those left, and what are those going for?
They're $20.
$20. And you just email Sub or go to 6shirts@gmail and just put in the notes that it's for a hat pin, and make sure you mark from family and friends so it doesn't charge us a fee. And
we donate that money to the charity. And right now, if you order a gnat pin, we'll include someone must have sent us 100 of these. And I said, is it okay if I just give these away to whatever? He said, dude, just give them out. So gnat pin, you can just email us at the TGA website, or you can put $20 in PayPal, 6shirts@gmail.com. I'll send you a gnat pin. I got one.
Speaking of gnat pins, we have some other pins, and we have lots of cool shirts on the TGA clothing site. So TGAclothing.com, that's up and running again. You can get some signed Dank books, all kinds of things like that. So the most recent thing harvested, I did harvest a couple of Chernobyls. I have a couple more getting ready to come down. They smell like a kind of a papaya maybe on a warm day. It's kind of warm and soft and mushy and yummy. So that came down. And also I had some of the Locomotion. And this is the Mindo Dope cut. It's the mom of Mindo Dope.
And we dropped
our newest strain that we're for testing. Oh yes. So I would say about Wednesday. I would say about Wednesday of next week, if you are in the Santa Rosa area, or you don't mind a drive, head on down to Santa Rosa. It's at 301 East Todd Road, and they will have some of this yummy, just gorgeous buds. Oh.
I was out there last night while Jill was doing some cleaning, and she had dragged the Chernobyls into the common room, and Jesus. Like, the smell was pretty insane. You did such a good job.
Like the pineapple mango or pineapple papaya.
So when I met you, you were doing a little hydros. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you got into growing? Because you were doing it before you met me.
Well, my very first plant actually came in like a bucket, and it was two seeds somebody had stuck in a bucket and gave me. And one ended up being male, one was female, so I just kind of cut it off. I grew it in a little tiny cabinet with, I can't even remember the type of light I used. But anyways, it tasted like paper bag because I cured it in a grocery bag because I thought that's what I was supposed to do back then. And then I moved up to an HPS. And so my very first few plants were done in soil. I learned to clone in soil. As I decided I wanted to start growing larger amounts, I didn't realize I needed to put my soil plants in 10-gallon pots and let them veg and let them get big. So I switched to a bubbler system. And you have to understand, back when I started growing, you couldn't go to the hydro store. You couldn't just go buy one pre-assembled. Now you can probably buy it on Amazon. So I had to go to the plumbing store. I had to go to the fish store, aquarium store, to get all my different parts. You know, my very first bubbler system actually was using fish rocks and a pot that I drilled holes in and some pond nutrients. So that was my very first. So it started a long time ago, and that was just a single bucket with a air stone in it. And as I went on, I ended up doing 3 buckets with 1 control and 1 reservoir on top. So I used a toilet float so on the bottom one to keep everything on the control. So everything stayed the same. Come down, then it would give them a little bit more. So I back then I was using the Lucas GH formula, the 2-part method. So you do your grow and then you have your flower, your bloom. And the whole thought behind that is when you're first putting your plants in your big 5-gallon buckets, the root ball is pretty small. So you're putting a lot of water in there. It's basically taking probably gallons, of water. And the root ball is super tiny. And you put the same nutrients in all the way through. As the root ball grows, you're probably getting a gallon of water in there versus the exact same amount of nutrients. So as the plant grows, it's getting stronger nutrients. And that's the whole idea behind that. And I wasn't into using a flush like a Clear-X or anything like that. It actually made the plants have a dirt taste, like not like a soil plant, like dirt. So anyways, my method was slowing down, dropping down. So the plant wouldn't store. So I would drop down a little bit more. So I ended at about 1/8 strength about the week of harvest. And that was actually the best way I found to not have the plant keep nutrients inside or taste funky.
If you guys don't know, when I met Jill, she was growing in the 3-part system she talks about with the control. And of course, she talks about the time I drilled all the holes in her buckets and put dirt in them, which is absolutely true.
Yeah, when you first came to my new grow room.
But me and Jill ran, I think it was Strom. Strom. We ran side by side Strom, and the only thing I can say is my weed tasted better because she kicked my ass. I think the hydro plant was 11 ounces or 12 ounces. 10
ounces to 3 ounces.
Three or four. Some shit. Her plant just towered over mine. It's like, fuck you, I'm stealing all the light.
I had it in a little tiny pot too, just to show that I could. You just have to do it more often. It was in a freestanding, so I had to hand do it. But anyways, I would say that the Strom that was in hydro had more resin.
Yeah.
I would say definitely produced more.
Yeah.
And I would say that it had a harsher kick at the back of the throat. And it didn't have that rich, deep, robust taste.
Okay.
It would be more like Folgers versus Kona Peaberry from Hawaii coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the difference. A cow that's given fake artificial foods versus a cow that's eating real food. Same thing with a human. If you're uptaking protein shakes and IV versus eating steak and potatoes, you're gonna be fluffy.
Okay,
so
that makes sense. Well, now you are the head breeder and grower for TGA Genetics. Now I do the paperwork and the business stuff. Jill does the physical in the garden stuff. See her in this beautiful sundress, and in just a little while she'll have on her grow clothes and she'll be up there in the garden. So, but back in the day, was it easy getting recognition as a serious grower, or with any particular challenge you faced?
It's still not easy.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
And I would say the biggest problem is women aren't taken seriously because that's just the way the world works. There's very few women that actually stand out among the others as being able to do the things that the guys do or hang with the guys.
Right.
So that's a struggle. And you go to pot events and you have the ladies walking around with nothing on or the pussy hanging out or whatever it may be. That makes it hard for all of the rest of us to be taken seriously. That's what it is, and every industry the cannabis industry, the alcohol industry, the car industry, race car industry. Every industry has the same thing. So that just means we have to work a little bit harder to be picked out and be above the rest.
And I think that's one of the reasons you were chosen by Stoner Magazine as one of the women in marijuana, because of your stance, but trying to stand up for women in the marijuana business industry and make them count. So if you could send one message to the women in this cannabis industry, what would it be?
Get your ass out there and get it done. Don't let people push you down. Do it. No excuses.
Awesome. So what was it like growing up in Oregon? I know how much you love Oregon as your best friend and husband, but were there benefits you wish you still had from growing in Oregon? And did you encounter struggles specific to your area?
No, I don't really find a struggle in either direction. I find it obstacles that are kind of fun to overcome. It's something to do. When it was icy and snowy out this last winter in Oregon, we'd get snow and then it would stay for a couple weeks because it would freeze. So my water wouldn't work to drag hoses out every single time I watered. Hook them up, drag it, make it quick. Get there and turn it on and get it going so it wouldn't freeze back up and then take it back into the closed building after you're done with it. So, that's not, it's whatever. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't last forever.
Right.
It's fun to know that you can overcome something or overcome the obstacles.
Right.
It's like an obstacle course.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to thank you for that. And I want to talk just a little bit though, real quick about something that, just to make sure, since I have Jill right here with me and we're actually interviewing here. So, we have Growing Together here with Minnesota Nice and Malik, an organization that raises money to help kids. Mm-hmm. And of course we have, my charity, which is basically just the Weed Nerd charity. And then, we have, of course, Jinx Proofs has the Northwest League for Autism. But long before all of that, helping people. And it was real simple. We goofed off on the internet, and this was before Google Hangouts because they didn't have this technology.
No.
We just had whatever. We had websites and stuff like that, Facebook and shit like that. And people sent stuff in. And I'm getting to the story. You'll love this. So one of the people sent in items, and then we auctioned them off. And I would say 99% of them got auctioned off and made money, sometimes not a lot. But Minnesota Nice's wife made me a couple of pillows. She made a Mendo Dope and the TGA pillow. They're little T-shirt pillows. And we just never actually sold those. And they're on my couch to this day, which cracks me the hell up. And reminds me how long we've been doing this. Minnesota Knife, how long ago did you send those? And that's been years, yeah?
Yes, about 3.
Almost 3 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. So that was when Miss Jill, you guys were sewing the T-shirt quilts. And, that was actually kind of my first hand in helping something. We came up with the idea to have T-shirts sent our way, and, we'd make them into little throw pillows, and then, hopefully they'd go to a good cause. So for sure.
Well, I'm warming you up. I'm warming you up for something. So our daughter, Dirtfish, is the person who sewed the quilts before, and she's a mom now, like full-time mom, full-time lifeguard.
Oh, she'll do it if I talk to her.
Yeah, we might talk her into it, but maybe an opening there for some more sewing, because hopefully the T-shirt quilt thing will take off. Unlike the pillows, the quilts actually did very well. We raised as much as $420 for a couple of those. So hopefully we can get those things going again. And also, me and Jill, I just want to remind everybody what's going on. So the Charity Garden, our mission in the Charity Garden is get bud on stalk, possibly turn into extract into dollars into toys, tampons, food, formula, diapers, and then some of our blankets, and then some of our favorite dispensaries. And of course, we're going to try to do all this very publicly on social media so that we can get you guys involved and to help out. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that. The Charity Garden is going excellent.
Who's Limydale? I can't see anything saying, but apparently he's asking who I am, who Lesta Bentley is. If I'm Ms. Jill, I'm not quite sure how you would know who TGA is and not know who I am, but I'm creator of Jilly Bean, so nice to meet you. And this is Lesta Bentley, the other lady here, and she owns a dispensary in Silverton, Oregon, and she has started a couple of dispensaries from the ground up in Oregon under the laws there, as well as a couple of rec facilities. Very strong advocate and helper of the patients.
Awesome. So what's going on in the bud room real quick? Let's shift gears. It wasn't on there.
Right now, we have 2 quadrants of time rec in there. I have a couple of kosher tickets looking really good. And I also have, I just put a Pinot in there for you. It's going to come out about 20 days before your birthday, so it'll have time to cure up some. Yeah. And then I also have your little tiny cute purple Afghani that we just dropped right into flower.
Awesome. And you've got 4 locos and 4 time recs running.
Yes, I'm getting those ready right now. The time rec will go in before the loco, and I'm getting ready to take some more for another round, which I'll probably do time rec and galactic for the 2 quadrants after that, because I have that really, really, really wonderful galactic Jack Pheno that I love so freaking much. If you haven't seen it before, jump on my Instagram, Ms. Jill Grower, and scroll down until you find a picture of a big bud in front of green on it. Oh my goodness, you'll just be like so super impressed.
Awesome. Good job, baby. And next week we'll be pulling down Blood Wreck × Space Queen. We do not have a name for it yet. I'm sure there's going to be some fun on social media this week as we name Miss Jill's new test strain, Space Queen. We've played around with a couple of ideas, but we just really don't have one yet. All right, so now we're going to get into some other stuff. I want to kick it over to Minnesota Nice, though. What's going on over there, big guy?
Oh, not a whole lot. My dog's going crazy over here. Sorry, I had to step away from my station for a little bit there, so I didn't catch the last couple minutes of what was going on. I apologize.
That happens. I got you back, big guy. So is everything going good? Everything going good? The contest. Everybody's finally figured out maybe to hit the donation button so they can get in the Gleam contest. Okay. Yeah, that's going good.
Yeah, absolutely. Malik and myself have been putting the link into chat. Anyone who's interested in donating will get a raffle ticket. We have 3 items up for auction tonight. What they are is we have a D-nail that was donated. That is like a $500 model of a D-nail. $20 gets you a raffle ticket to try to win it there. And in the same raffle, you can also win a dab rig from Pyro Styles Glass. It's actually a copper electroplated rig with purple amethyst. And we also have Integra Products donated a few boxes of their humidity packs for curing cannabis. So check out the Growing Together website. Click on the fundraisers tab, read the directions, and donate $20 for a raffle ticket.
Awesome.
I just want to thank you so much for that. You guys are doing such an awesome job at doing that. I don't want to be short or cut anybody off, but how about if we have a bong hit, a pipe hit, partake session really quick as I head out? Done.
And what are you going to go do?
I need to go take care of some plants. I have some things to tidy up for your mom. I have some bedding I want to get freshened up for, washed up, bed made for her.
Like Jilly is, my mom's coming tomorrow at 3:22.
Sheets need to be freshly washed.
Never hung out with
they're
me.
clean, just because I want them to smell good.
Jilly has got like, you would think the fucking Queen of England is coming. My mom's going to be so blown away by everything.
Well, your mom's kind of uppity too, so.
Well, I don't think she's like that anymore. I think she's going to be very impressed. I think she's probably gotten simplified at 84 years old. But we were excited to get high with my mom. We just got to make sure we don't get her too fucked up, or we'll get our ass in trouble. The rest of the family want to kick our ass.
Oh, it's okay.
My brother, the Navy SEAL, will be fucking me up if I get mom.
He's the one that started this shit.
I know. My brother, Navy SEAL's the one that got my mom stoned for the fucking first time. So it's like, oh my God, it's gonna be too much.
Cheers.
All right, cheers. Thanks, baby.
Bye, goalie. I hope you start feeling better. Love to you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
And let's
Today's been much better than yesterday.
Thanks, Miss Jill.
See you later.
Thanks, nerds, and the Weed for Warrior Project, guys. I sure appreciate it. Thanks for all the love and support.
Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you for your for protecting my ass.
I wanted to take this time to turn it back over to Goalie. When we introduced him before, Ellie talked about was the now. So, dude, why don't you tell us the story, man? The nerds fucking love stories. Tell us the story about back in. Tell us something you did, man. You did some cool shit. Is there anything you can talk about?
I'm sorry, I missed all that. Somebody else was saying something to me.
No, it's okay. I was wondering if you could tell us a good story. You have to have good stories too, my friend.
Well, yeah, you know, the reality is there's a lot of laughing that goes on there as well because, you know, the absurdity of your situations that you're surviving in. I don't know if you guys, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. I wanted to thank all the nerds and the guys from the Weed for Warrior project, you know, especially as well. So real quick, let me get that out of the way because I think my microphone was off a few minutes ago when I tried to thank everybody. But so you know, you do a lot of laughing. There's a lot of absurd, you know, situations that happen. Because you spend a lot of downtime bored as well. You know, combat is a lot of boredom. And sadly, that erupts into a nightmare of terror and generally, you know, dead friends. But during those boredom times, you laugh and you make up stuff to do. We had, you know, little odd tournaments, you know, that we'd play against, you know, teams would play against each other. Your little fire team would play a match of some kind of game, even if it's a video game or something, against the helicopter pilots, or you know, it'd be a football game or a pickup basketball game on a base or something. And those times end, you know, in fun. You know, you end up laughing, and you know, that's sort of part of what makes those people so close to you the rest of your life. Maybe it's not even so much the bad times that, you know, that occurred during there, but you know, the funny times. Like I hear a song that, you know, all of a sudden now, like I'll start crying and don't even realize that it's because I have this great memory of some friends of mine and their giant smiles and laughter. You know, and the reality was a couple weeks later they were killed. But those happy memories are right there. As a matter of fact, why this show's been going on, you know, I wear this. This is the particular one I wear every day. Sadly, I have many of these, but this particular close friend of mine I brought home from Ramadi outside of Iraq. I mean, outside of Fallujah. Why this show's been going on tonight, his sister called me, and just out of the blue, they were out talking tonight and talking about our family. And my friend Tom was a big believer. He's from New Jersey. He was a Special Forces Green Beret. He was a big believer in hemp and alternative energies and solar power and all of this stuff. And he was quite an interesting and educated individual. And his sister was calling and left me a voicemail about the upcoming legislation in New Jersey and wanted to speak to me about, you know, what my thoughts were, I guess. But so those kinds of memories, hanging out memories, stuff that everybody has.
How about the story where he threw the chicken wing at you?
Oh, chicken wing, yes.
You're a grumpy man.
This is, yeah. He, the night before he was killed, they have midnight rats in the military when you're overseas. It's midnight rations. You go to the chow hall and eat if you're hungry at midnight, you know, if you happen to be off duty. And I didn't particularly want to go this evening, so he brought back a chicken wing, and as a joke, you know, chucked it at me in my cot. My service dog's over here because he can show my energy's changing. And said, hey, you know, you don't want to be small your whole life, goalie. Eat something. He was killed the next day in an ambush in Ramadi, Iraq. But the evening before, that same night, before he brought the chicken wing back to me, he had called his dad and told them that he was going to be killed tomorrow and he would not make it back from Iraq alive, and that I would be the one bringing him home. And that he hoped that his family would not hold it against me because it was not my fault. You know, I sort of carried that in a bad way for a long time. And in 2009, I was able to, fortunately, due to cannabis, I was able to go to New Jersey for the first time since I brought him home, and met his family really for the first time, sort of sober, because when I came home the first time with his body, I wasn't really sober. And wasn't in a place mentally where I could even, you know, talk to them really on that kind of level. But it was very healing to go speak to them, and to now, you know, it's years later and I'm still in communication with them, and they're part of my family. Like when she called and I returned her call, you might have seen me for a second on the phone there. I said, hey sis, I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer your call. I hope everything's okay. Even though, you know, she's not really my sister, that's how I feel her. When I hear her voice, when I see her face, I see Tom in her. I hear Tom in her voice, you know, encouraging me to keep going every day. Like, you know, so there's lots of good stuff in all of it, you know, on top of the bad. I had somebody tell me the other day that, well, I wish I had been in the military, and Lynn said there's a lot of demons that go along with having been to those places. But there's also a lot of good things, and it makes me very fortunate and feel very humble that I continue to take a breath and that I have the wife and child I have, because it's because of him that I do. The reality is, you know, he was standing in a place I could have easily been, not too many feet away from where it happened. So
we love you, dude. That's all I can say.
I appreciate you come out and share a little bit.
Why don't you introduce Roku to the Weed Nerds, man?
Roku, come here. Come on.
So Goalie's got a friend that goes with him everywhere.
Come on, buddy. Come here.
Very, very cool.
Come here. Hi. She's been a little freaked out as well tonight because my energy, but you know, sadly, right out here, my neighbors have been firing off again since the show started, fireworks. And so that generally sets off some adrenaline in me that I can't really control very easily. And that sends her into coming over to me, and then also her energy gets a little sometimes because I'm projecting so strongly my energies. But she's been a lifesaver.
Brother,
I never leave the house without her. Sub knows I came up to see you, and she came with me, didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'd like to thank everybody in the
oh
chat,
my
by the
goodness,
way.
yeah. No, I don't want to say that story. They're throwing up. All over the sleeping bag I brought over for her to lay on, thankfully.
I want to thank everybody in the chat for being so generous. Minnesota Nice, I know that we are missing some of them. So look, me and you will get together. I believe from the donation thing in Super Chat, we can find people through Google. I'm sure every one of them's got a Google @ so we will make sure that you guys get into the Gleam competition. I don't know the total numbers right now, but I can tell you we paid the fucking phone bill tonight. So thank you guys so much for the love. We're getting ready to do no stupid questions right now. So panel, please be ready for that. I see a whole bunch of them over there. How you, Malik? You want to just go? You just want to give me the questions? Is that the easiest way to do it? Do you have them stacked up, or what's the easiest way to do this?
Yeah, we got a couple stacked up here. Mainly one for Ben about areas they can get your products. They want to know, can you get them in Australia and Canada, Ben?
Yeah, actually, you could get them in both places. So we've worked in Canada before, and Australia is opening up medically. So yeah, we can work with you either way.
Nice. And I was gonna ask one thing personally. I don't know if I missed it. What is the exact like turnaround time on the plant sex kits? Like,
oh, on the sex test, it's typically, I mean, the time it takes for that sample to get back to us in the mail, which is typically a few days, and then around 2 to 3 days in the lab. When we get slammed, it's about 4 or 5 days, but you'll still can figure out the sex of your plant within 14, 15, 16 days of germination.
Nice.
That's awesome. Like I say, I'm really excited about the idea of being able to do. We've been doing the Pennywise testing the completely long way around. We've been growing the shit out to finalization and then taking it to steep hill. My God, we're going to just shave months and months and months off of the breeding process. I'm pretty excited about that. Anybody?
So we have another one for Phylos Bioscience. Someone wants to know, does Phylos Bioscience, does the sex testing kits, do they work with autoflowers?
Yeah, that would work with autoflowers. It's just finding the Y chromosome in the DNA, so the male.
Okay. And same person wanted to know about feminized seeds. Do they detect hermaphrodite traits at all?
So it's only going to find the Y chromosome again in the DNA. A lot of hermaphroditic traits are environmental stresses, and that's just the adaptability of that plant to self-pollinate, cross itself when it's in a stressed out situation. Yeah, if it has a Y chromosome, we'll always find it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ben.
Is that it, bud?
No, we have one for Lesta as well. Somebody wanted to know, how long have you actually been growing cannabis for?
Sorry, you cut out a little there at the last.
Oh, yeah, Lesta, sorry. Somebody wanted to know, how long have you been growing cannabis?
Well, I guess I first was growing maybe 10 years ago, but still have never done anything. I would never produce a lot to sell for anybody else. So probably 10 years or so, until this last year where I helped on a couple farms and started some farms. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I have another question here, and this one's directed for the whole panel. This is from Tony B. Faroni, and he says, when plants are at their optimal health, they grow naturally within like a fractal pattern, and this pattern breaks when the plant is stressed. And is there any ideas on like charging water to a, like a corrected pattern, or like a corrected balance, or is there anything that you can do to try to correct the balance of the plant? Does anybody have any input on that one?
That's an interesting question, which, I mean, I'm going to answer the question, but me and Jill were having an interesting discussion last night. So we were talking a lot last night about VPD. So if you don't know what VPD is the optimal growing for cannabis. And, a really good range would be like 75 degrees and 75% humidity. Some growers use this VPD because the plant will grow the fastest, produce the most grams per, but there are some caveats, and that's the fact that you're right on the line of mold and mildew. So we're talking about optimal growth of the plant. We're not necessarily talking about optimal protection of the plant. I historically have grown in a cooler room, and Jill grows in a little bit cooler, drier room than me because she picked it up from me. And when she goes into a grow room indoors, if she's hit with a blast of heat, we think two things: bugs, mold. It's just what you think. So we tend to keep our grow rooms a little cooler than you would think. And we're not maximizing that VPD. So we're not getting that jungle growth you would think of. But what we do get is hard buds that produce a lot more resin. I've noticed this historically. If you look at the book of Dank, the book that I published, the buds all have a specific look to them. And I believe it's because they were grown in a slightly cooler environment. Having said that, water structure is also a big deal. And optimizing your water, and that's what you're talking about, is organizing them like that, sonically or whatever, magnetically, whatever. It could have benefits. But anytime somebody talks about that to me when it comes to growing, I've always said that it would be better to focus on the things that you're missing. So while you're off worried about some ionic water solution, and Jill would tell you the first thing, make sure that grow room's clean and everything. So on my take, before you get into the really weird stuff on cannabis, stick to the stuff that really works. No temperature swings, clean rooms, proper air conditioning, proper ventilation. And I'm a little stray away from the stuff like getting into messing with my water on those lines. But
well, I mean, I think I agree 100%. As long as your environment and everything's in check, you'll be pimping for sure, Sub.
I had this one I saw, and I forget what it was. It was, I don't know. It changed the ions in the air or some shit like that. And this guy had it in this grow room in Oregon. He's actually a friend of ours. He's a lot better grower than I do. And he had this thing in this room is supposed to do. I forget what the hell he's supposed to do, but
yeah, ozone generator.
No, this was something else. I forget what this thing did. This wasn't about smell. This was some kind of production situation. But anyway, it fucking didn't have air conditioning, so the room was 90 degrees. So I was spending money on this thing that was supposed to increase resin. He wouldn't take care of the rest of it. So that's what I always tell people when they get into stuff like that. So got some other stuff if we don't.
All right. Pooks420 asks, along the last previous question for Ben, can your test detect hermy-prone genetics?
So again, it's only just going to find the Y chromosome in any DNA. And so if it's particular hermy-prone, and maybe that's some sort of mutation in the plant, be stressed easily, it's only going to detect the Y chromosome.
Right.
All right, so we've got a couple of things going on in the Weed Nerd Nation that we covered during the week that I want to make sure you guys know, and I want to make sure that everything is covered correctly. So a couple that I forgot to talk about a long time ago. So we talked about Chalice for a little bit and how hot it is, how everybody's falling out. Jinx Proof and Mince Rose are there. They're in a place called Slab City. I understand it's one of the few actually air-conditioned places there. And, of course, they have Jinx Proof Genetics, TGA Genetics, and others. So if you happen to be going to Chalice tomorrow in the fucking 150-degree heat, stop by the air-conditioned booth and say hey to those guys. Also at the Earl Cup, TGA Will was at the Earl Cup today. That's in Arizona. It's a cannabis festival, so that's cool that that's going on well. And the little thing that happened a couple of weeks ago, I don't want to get in it too much, but I met a breeder online on Instagram, and he grows some gorgeous. And I decided to put his gear into the Weed Nerd Nation. And his name is Coma. And after the genetics arrived, and I started distributing, another person with another name, Coma, who has like almost 100,000 followers, got really upset about the situation. And I'd maybe reacted a little bit, but I still take, all I've done is meet someone, amazing grower and potential breeder, and I'm sharing his genetics to the world on my dime. I'm not making any money. There's no sales. So that I'm going to continue to do. I did say that because of the giant shit storm that this guy has created on Instagram, that I will not work with Coma Creations, and we will not release his gear through the Weed Nerd Nation. That does not mean we're not going to send him far and wide for testing. And if the guy's gear is worth a snuff, then he can do his own thing. So I just wanted to clear that up. We still have plenty of the stuff in testing. I mean, for you guys, we have the Cuvée Time Coma, which is Sam Sarah. I have a couple of those started myself. Have the Blueberry Sativa IBL, and then there's another one. So the testing network for TGA, you basically contact me. I'm going to beat you up and be rude to you. You're going to have to submit information and pictures to me. And if you're a dumbass, don't apply. The reason I'm so harsh on that is because I answer about 200 emails a week from people looking to be testers. And there's some fucking stupid people on this planet. And the smart ones show up immediately. So I just don't have a lot of patience for the just really, really silly questions. So it's really simple. You submit an email. I'm going to give you a form that you have to fill out on a strain that you have grown in the past and a couple of pictures. This lets me know that you actually understand just simplicity, height, smell, growing structure, et cetera, and then you grow them out and you report back to me. It's really that simple. So the other thing is, let's see, this week we met with the general contractor. Not everybody follows the cool around shows. I just bring you up to that. Me and Jill are super excited, although slightly confused. I'm going to rant a little bit, so this is the part of the show where I go off a little bit, but I'll be careful. So we hired a lawyer to do trademark on us and to protect the things that we have created. One of those things we want to protect is the weed nerd. I mean, I don't want anybody else being the damn weed nerd. We raise money for kids. So, but this stuff's hard to protect. On the United States of America, protecting anything that's to do with cannabis sucks. It's just, you can't trademark a strain. You can't trademark things about cannabis because the feds are just freaking the fuck out. But we figured out this week from a trademark lawyer that because we've sold TGA t-shirts, hats, the Weed Nerd t-shirts, hats, Subcool t-shirt, hats, and we stole them through interstate commerce, that we have a legal means of trademarking these things. Here's the part where I rant. So then we hired another lawyer to tell us whether the first fucking lawyer's lying to us. And the reason we're doing this stuff is because it's enormously important and we're spending an enormous amount of money. One of the things we have to do is install a 15,000-gallon catchment system on the top of our property. We have to do this because water in my area is very scarce. And I'm going to tell you guys the reason I'm telling you this, because water and cannabis growing in America is fixing to become a big, big deal. Hauling water right now in my area, Mendocino County, Humboldt County, is allowed. After 2018, you are no longer allowed to haul water. So securing water rights is incredibly important. I live on top of a mountain and I can't, but we've been told that we get 10,000 gallons of water falling on my roofs, possibly just my grow room roof. So we're going to install a catchment system in a tank. It catches the water, it pumps it back up to the tanks. The tanks hold the water in reserve so that you can tell your neighbors, who are probably going to say, hey man, in the water, a little bit of water that we have in California to water your pot plants, we want it to wash our butts. And so that just eliminates strife with the neighbors. Under the new California law, if you eliminate problems with your neighbors, you have eliminated the problems. right now in California, I don't believe they're going to do any enforcement until somebody calls, because they don't have the thing. Now, the next things we have to do is we have to put a pressurized sprinkler system in my grow room. Now, I have 2 halons in there now. This pisses me off because halon is much more efficient than water. Anybody that knows tech stuff knows that if you blast a halon fire extinguisher off in a sealed room, the fire goes out. If you turn on 2 giant water hoses, you're just going to make a giant fucking mess and put the fire out. Nonetheless, that's the code. Now, why are we doing all this? Because if we can get our certificate of occupancy and we can get our cannabis production, then we will be one of the few people that get in on the first level. It was approved like a couple of weeks ago for us to start this procedure. But this is what I want to warn you guys about. So I'm going to spend about $20,000 to $75,000 to the local municipalities and different contractors to get legal. That money is then in turn going to go into a fund. And in the next year or two, all the people that in California that are planning on not getting compliant, the people who are complacent, the people who are sitting around going, well, I'm not putting a fucking well on my property. I've been growing all along. We're making the right choice, because that is when we're going to be able to continue doing what we're doing without intrusion from the law, because we're going to already have the paperwork, the permits, the water rights, they checked our lizards and our owls and our fucking snakes and our trees. And seriously, a biometric essay of my land is going to cost $10,000 to find out that my lizards live in my pot plants. But once we get all this done, people that the government allows to grow weed. And I just think it's really cool no matter what cost it is. But it is a little scary. At one time last week when I was on the phone with 2 people, I was spending $1,800 an hour. Thank God I only talked for 10 fucking minutes. But I just want to make sure when you talk to one guy, he says you do one thing. Example, one person told us because we don't have a garage to build 2 carports on our property. Well, we would have listened to him. This isn't official. He told us that we need to do this. So now we've consulted somebody else. And because of some weird loophole, I live in a rural area, and now I'm thinking about it. My neighbor doesn't have a 2-car garage, and neither does my other neighbor. And I'm like, well, why the hell would you make me build on my property? So it's these type of small things that me and Jill are addressing right now. So TGA can remain doing what we do, processing seeds and making small artisanal flowers. All that stuff. Real quick, want to talk one more time about Deadlights. I get a lot of email on it, and I don't want it to cross over. Deadlights is not ready yet. So Deadlights was released last year. It went into testing. Lots of people have it. Dispensaries have it. Matt Rise makes caps with it, 25-1 CBD caps. But right now, TGA does not have Deadlights on the current menu. We will have it very, very soon. I'll let you guys know. What about it, Goalie? How you doing tonight now, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Did you?
I'm all right. I was telling Malik earlier, I don't do a lot of socializing. So, you get out of practice talking to people when you don't talk to people very often. So
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, man.
But I'm all right.
I just wanted to thank you. Okay. Well, we love you very, very much. Green Goalie is on Instagram, guys. Check him out. Send him some love. As I said,
thank you so much for having me out here. It's just good seeing you, man. It was so great to see you. I've missed not seeing you, once we got to hang out. So it's good to see you.
Right. Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. Hopefully soon again. So, all right.
Well,
we're going to get out of here.
The guys on here, are you guys talking about such amazing stuff in the industry? It's when you're even, haven't been having a garden, for a few years now, like just the leaps and bounds and, the technology and the stuff you guys are doing, the galaxy mapping. It's extremely interesting, extremely exciting time for the whole industry. Like, as a patient, that's the kind of stuff that for me is crucial. Like, I ask everybody, like, well, what is it? Because you talked about hazes earlier. Hazes, the wife and child leave the house. Like, if I have a haze, like, it's as bad as me having alcohol. Like, it's just not a good combination. So
that's one of the things
those things are super important, and it's very, very cool what you guys are doing.
Me and Goalie had an interesting conversation when we were together one time. We talked for a lot when we were together, and Goalie, it's not just cannabis. Like some cannabis, like if you send him the wrong shit, it's not cool. Like there's specific files that sets him in a calm manner. And then there's other things like I would not think you would want to smoke some, Apollo 13. It's just that's the wrong makeup. So that's another thing he has to be careful of. When somebody gives him some good weed, he has to kind of test it a little bit to make sure it's not the wrong way to go. So
for sure. It's very, again, as patients, very, very important.
I just want to say, Goalie, thanks for sharing your story today. I really appreciate it.
Sorry, yeah, I'm happy to. Maybe we're in a little direction, maybe not. So happy that, but it is what it is, man. I appreciate you allowing me to talk.
Awesome, guys. Coming soon, we will tell you guys more about the water catchment summit. Next week, we're going to have Dan from Timber Grow Lights. I'm excited, so I'm going to give you just an update on that. Dan sent us this really cool, badass setup to put in our breeding room. And just the only reason we hadn't put it in there yet is because we actually have to drag 8 plants out of a fucking breeding room out to the outside, and we don't do that. So once the plants are harvested and put together, then we will be hanging these new badass cobs. I think they're 3,500 Kelvin custom cobs. They've got 2 4-foot rails, 2 2-foot rails. I cannot absolutely wait to get them on. It's going to be very cool. Jazz Queen competition. There are no dates yet for the Jazz Queen competition. What I would simply ask is that you guys that received some of the 10,000 Jazz Queen seeds continue to grow them. I have a meeting with Soil King. If I have time again, last week he's too busy. I'm too busy. We all grow weed. We all grow fucking palm trees with pineapples on them. So we're all busy. But when we get a chance, we're going to try to organize a one-off competition. That's 1 strain, 1 grower, 1 winner to win 10-pack of all TGA strains in stock, including testers. It will either be a inter competition. It means you bring bud to a location, or maybe even just an online photo competition. I can't promise I can run a cup at the end of the year and harvest 70 pounds of cannabis to give away to kids all at the same time. So, but if you received a pack of Jazz Queen, make sure you tag me up. It's an incredible contest. Phylos Bioscience, we talked about this at the start of the show. I want to remind you guys, my web guy, Peter, will be hooking it up this week so that you'll be able to log on to the TGA website and hook up with Phylos Bioscience and receive a discount on genetic testing and on male-female mapping. And I'm going to tell you right now, we've talked about it just a little bit before. Here's my plug for these guys. I mean, if you're growing out plants and you're going to grow them out to do clone selection, you might as well go ahead and spend $9.95 and save yourself. Hell, that's the price of a fucking bag of the soil you got to transplant the plant into. So I have never heard of anything more cost saving in my life as a grower. So totally embrace that. Thanks everyone for coming over. Lesta, which is okay, she's in Silverton. We want to thank her very much for coming on. Jill will be back on during the week. That's going to do it for the Weed Nerd Show tonight. We will be over on the silly part of the show. Ben, if you want to come over and see the silliness, this is a Weed Nerd, you're welcome to. Goalie, it changes a lot when I link back up, so I'll have the guys send you the link if you want to. We're going to play some rock and roll. We're going to smoke some bud. We're going to act like retards. That's going to do it for now. Peace out. As always, show sponsored by musical guest Dope.
Jack the Ripper.
Party my sativa, his lemony is the taste. Jack Tina, Jack the Ripper. It tastes great, visibility, a resin glands only the 12th day. Blue tops, purple haze, labs, red Jack hair, Northern Lights, Romulan, BCGA. Cindy 99, together one of a kind. Medicina for my ill folks, trying to survive. Avengers of a phenotype, healing one at a time. Tripping, so intense, my visual face shifting, increasing my heart rate. Every crash uplifting, hungry with no pain or paranoia in the game. Mango, so limiting, hash pines in my face. Cool with Subcool, cold chilling like frozen penguins. Old school, new school education, no weed children. Germination so professional medicine I'm giving. TTA don't play, Jack Ripper, the Bay living. Jack the Ripper.
a ganja representative, so they label me a criminal. Way I break it down with Dank is scientific. From THC to CBD, it's medicinal. Underground cultivating ganja original. Third eye visual, puffing on sativa haze. Grew up in the mountains, lighting weed with the solar rays. Jack the Ripper, killer weed.
Hey, do something nice for somebody out there. Help another human being. And have a dank day.